Mzwandile Mbeje joins me in studio now. Thanks for your time. We saw that most political parties seem committed and pledged to making sure that their campaigning is free and fair and not tainted.
Absolutely, and that's what we saw. But it's interesting that some of what we see playing itself out there is different from what they committed themselves to. But I think it's important because what it basically means is that those who are taking part in these elections are pledging really to play by the rules of the whole process. So in the event there's something that goes horribly wrong, so they can be held accountable. So that is why they have to be part of that pledge and sign that pledge. Not only them as political parties, the candidates and also their supporters must also commit to a fair and free process. You don't want a situation where after the elections people will say, no, we never stood a chance because we were unfairly treated.
We also saw that the AIC and the ANC were separated. People have always said that the only reason that the AIC got a lot of votes is because there was confusion between them and the ANC. Of
course, there were broad smiles on the ANC delegation that was there, because it has always maintained that AIC is piggybacking on them. So, but what they did is that they looked at three parties: AIC, APC and ANC. You know, they have similar colors and they are next to each other. So they also went into a draw to say they will have to separate them. So the party that got, in terms of the draw, got the biggest number, so was the one that retained the spot. So which means it was some sort of at an advantage position. But then the ANC was then moved elsewhere, and then the APC was then moved on the bottom of the A's. So, but it looked like the parties were very happy, particularly the governing party.
We saw at the top of the list there as well another A party.
Well, the little known African Security Congress. You know how the IEC does it is that the parties are put alphabetically, but in terms of the party that will be number one, so then they go to a draw, and whichever party that is drawn first, that's the one that get that privilege, that prized spot of being number one. Remember, for the old people who may not have time to check thoroughly, if you are number one, as you campaign, you'll simply say, just look at number one, that's me. So it makes it very easy.
And talk to us about how South Africans overseas are going to be able to vote, and whether anything about that came out today.
Oh yes, and you know, I think it was actually very interesting. You know, the increase in terms of the number of people who will vote, it was about 10%. So Nzinga, this tells you that there is huge interest in this election. So we're expecting about 30,000 experts who will be voting from abroad. Obviously London with about 9,000, so that's quite a big number, followed by Dubai. So they are really wanting to be part of what is happening here. You can see they want to shape the process or the direction of the country.
Mzwandile, was anything mentioned about behavior of supporters? And I'm asking in something regards to something that you alluded to early on. We saw a video which purported to show EFF and ANC supporters tearing down posters and attacking each other. How responsible will political parties be for the rhetoric that they utter and for the behavior of their supporters in instances like that?
That's exactly why they were called in there to sign that pledge, because that pledge is basically saying, so you can't say in Nzinga, I can't come into your stronghold because you know that it's your people. So that pledge is basically saying, so everywhere I want to go and campaign, I must be able to do that freely and fairly. So if the supporters of any other party are not adhering to what has been agreed to, it's really a problem. I mean, if someone reports them to the IEC and then the IEC can take action, even as we speak now, there are still complaints that the IEC is still dealing with. So I assume perhaps some parties will report this matter to the IEC and the IEC will take steps. If, let's say, the issue perhaps is beyond them, it can also even go to electoral court, and that decision that will come from the electoral court, you know, you never know which way it can go.
Thank you very much for your time. Mzwandile Mbeje, our senior political reporter, joining us today on those events earlier on.